We talking about sports, get ball.
What it do, baby? Yeah.
Welcome back, you number one podcast listeners, to another episode of Prem Brulee, the number one podcast in your headphones. And this edition is a special one. The NFL draft's coming up, so we want to do a special NFL draft preview edition of Prem Brulee with my guy Thomas Lewis of Sleepattle, who recently wrapped up his NFL draft prospect scouting. So appreciate you being on, Thomas.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I spend way too much watching like 20-year-old kids run around.
Big pause, all
no
scouting.
Pause. No, none of it's scouting.
Thomas,
none of it's scouting. Sometimes I just
Thomas
like to go
says
to the
play.
gym.
He says no pause, play. Anyway, Thomas, you're my go-to when I have draft-related questions and some insider information you've been hitting on lately in the last couple of years. So you were the right person for this edition. And this one's going to be heavy on the who you got section so that we can pick your brain on some last-minute burning questions as the draft approaches this week.
That makes total sense. Yeah, I mean, I'll be here next year and the year after that, and then there'll eventually be like a heat death, or people will kill each other with infectious diseases. So then we won't have to do it then. We're almost done, baby.
We'll have bigger problems in the NFL draft. Yeah, there we go. We're wrapping up. We're in the home stretch. Anyway, before we get going, let's hear from our sponsor, which is very appropriate for this edition. This episode of the Prem Brulee podcast is brought to you by Sleepattle Photography, a boutique photo studio in Asbury Park, New Jersey. From cinematic stills, unique and classic wedding and elopement photos, even thumb-stopping product or commercial photography like you see for the Prem Brulee brand. Sleepattle is a full-service studio, so visit their Instagram or website at Sleepattle, that's SLEEPATTLE, or sleepattle.com, and treat your eyes to something nice. The number one photographer for the number one podcast in your headphones. You love to see it, and you get to hear the voice behind the art here. Thomas, appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. I bought my way onto the podcast. That's what it looks like now. Now it's like...
It does look that way, doesn't it?
This is my
That's
Elon
not
Musk
it. We are
buying Twitter moment. This is me sponsoring your podcast to get on there.
There we go. It's now private industry here. This podcast, and you can buy your way on.
Yeah, doors. I'm here to sell out.
Be
baby.
like Thomas.
Don't get it twisted. This ain't for the love. This ain't for the love.
Everything's available.
Yeah.
Anyway, without further ado, let's get going on this NFL draft preview edition of Prem Brulee. Yeah, Famernaz up first. And these are more of a couple headlines heading into the draft just to set us up. And I do have a few quick Famernaz rapid fire ones before we hit the meat of this. All right?
All right.
So first up, the draft is approaching this week. Obviously, most of you number one podcast listeners know round 1 is Thursday. Rounds 2 and 3 are Friday, and rounds 4 through 7 are on Saturday. The most picks in the draft belong to the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Kansas City Chiefs, who each have 12 selections in this draft, this 2022 draft. The least amount of picks, the Dolphins have just 4. And actually, their first pick isn't until number 102, which is in round 3. They have 1 4th-round pick and 2 7th-round picks to round out their 4 selections in this draft. They've obviously been very active in free agency and trades. After our last episode, they traded for Tyreek Hill. That happened all in basically one day. The news broke he was going to be traded, and it happened very quickly. He went to Miami. So we'll see if Tua can get him and Jalen Waddle the ball even. But they sure do have the weapons there now.
That is the least draft capital any team has ever had, by the way. Where they are, like if you ever used, it's like Jill Brandt's pick value chart, I think is the guy. That's the least draft capital any team has ever had.
That's crazy, because I remember last year it was like the Seahawks had just 3 picks, but their first pick was earlier in the draft.
Yeah,
so
and they
does make
like
sense.
Half of the Dolphins. The good way to put it is they only have 4 picks, and half of them are in the 7th round. Like that, it is not. That's crazy. Not a. They might as well. Dolphins fans can tune out.
Yeah, this is not for them.
Yeah.
As far as I know, a lot of people tune in to round 1 on Thursday night primetime. So teams with multiple first-round picks, there are quite a few of them this year. Feels like it's more than usual. The Jets, Giants, Lions, Chiefs, Eagles, Saints, and Packers all have 2 picks in the draft. And they each have 2. It was previously the Eagles had 3. They traded with the New Orleans Saints pretty recently and moved some things around, got future first round pick to go down to 2 mid first round picks. So whole bunch of teams. That's 7 teams with multiple picks. So 14 selections right there. Nearly half of them are by 7 teams. We'll go over your mock draft a little later. You have finished yours, so I don't want to tip anything, but just a couple warm up, yeah, fam or nah, just for you, Thomas. So this is a deep draft, but not top heavy. Yeah, fam or nah?
Yeah. That's mostly correct information there, yeah.
Okay. We'll talk a little bit more specifics, like, which ones actually are top heavy a little later, but that's good to know setting this up. Yeah, fam or not, no players worth trading up to number 1 for.
Conventionally, yeah. I'm going to say yeah again. This is this is the worst number 1 pick since that Eric Fisher year where it was between Fisher and Luke Jokel. Yep. That was another year where you might as well have picked 5.
It's a better spot to be in. Let the decision be made for you.
Yeah, and you pay the guy less money.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so the Jags reportedly the reports are that they're going to go with Trayvon Walker at number 1, the defense lineman out of Georgia. He went from a plus 250 betting odds to the betting favorite for number 1 at minus 150. Yeah, fam or nah on this? Are you buying it? And yeah, fam or nah, should they be going with Walker at 1?
Yeah, they are taking him, so I'm definitely buying it. And no, they shouldn't go with him at number 1. But hot take, and I guess we'll get it when we go over stuff later, no pass rusher or offensive lineman deserves to go number 1 in this draft. So it would be, wow. I would go way off and say Sauce Gardner should be who they take at number 1.
Wow. And that'd be wild.
Yeah, that would be, I think, the first cornerback ever taken first overall.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I feel like Jeff Okudah, go Bucks, was the highest.
I think he was. He was 3, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, he was the highest. Because I remember before him a couple of years ago, I guess way back, Patrick Peterson was 5, and everyone was like, "What the fuck are they doing?" And he turned out to be an All-Pro NFL player.
Yeah, Ramsey too.
Same thing. These guys end up being great players,
right? And Sauce, we'll talk about him a little later too. I mean, hint. Definitely the top corner on the board, but you can't not be good if you're calling yourself Sauce. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, before we get on to the heavy who you got, let's move on to the number 1 podcast listeners' favorite section. I got to keep it a little spicy before we get to the NFL draft heavy topic. So let's hit that intro for You Played Yourself, baby.
I'm petty as hell. And I'm super petty. Here we Petty Le Pew.
All right, you number 1 podcast listeners, first up on You Played Yourself are to the people that question Amari Cooper's contract being worth it for the Cowboys after they traded him only for other less productive wide receivers to earn more this offseason. It is quite the weird wide receiver offseason with trades, signings, overpays, and then we're adding a whole nother draft of a deep wide receiver pool to it. So on we go. The guy I'm talking about specifically is the Texans paying Brandon Cooks. And I had people ripping me for wanting the Cowboys to keep Amari Cooper. So you played yourself to that. You got any thoughts about that? You think Amari Cooper's overrated?
No. Yeah, Cowboys should have kept Hooper.
I was starting to go crazy. I felt like people were like, no, you don't need him. I'm like, what are you talking about? Anyway,
the one thing I
ranted about it last episode.
Yeah, real quick, just to touch on it. The one thing I don't understand is the Cowboys aren't built for the future. They're built to compete right now. They should not be tossing away assets.
Yes, 100% agreed. They have not done anything to give you confidence for the future, and yet they're in this no man's. I spent episode after episode. I'm not going to get too far into that. Anyway, I wanted to touch on a little NBA because we wrapped up the regular season. We started the playoffs, so it was only right I covered some of this. Anthony Davis said, quote, what could we have been if I was healthy all year? LeBron, Kendrick Nunn. You think about those things. When we put this team together, we looked really good on paper, but we haven't had a chance to reach that potential with guys being in and out of the lineup, end quote.
So, congratulations. You played
Tony
yourself.
Davis talking about what could have been if he was healthy is like me saying what could have been of my baseball career if I was given Carlos Correa's skills. Like, Tony getting hurt is as inevitable as sitting on the bench was for me in high school baseball. So I don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Yeah, what could have been. All right. Great chat, Tony. Move the fuck
Go
on.
Lakers.
We'll see you next year on the bench in straight clothes.
Go Lakers.
The Cancun Lakers.
Good. Vibe off. Black Kings thriving. Let me see it. I have no issue with it.
What it do, baby?
I want to see them. I want to see them back next year, but I don't know what that team's going to look like. We'll see. Sticking in basketball, the Brooklyn Villains, the alleged most skilled duo of all time, King Snake and Kyrie Irving, they have been a major letdown this year in this playoffs. And what the fuck is going on with Ben Simmons? He hurt his back. I don't know how that happened. Honestly, you really hate to see them out of the playoffs real early. You really hate to see the Villains, who we were talking about getting a title, have had the weirdest NBA season, I think, in NBA history. I mean, you think about Kyrie barely playing all year because of his vaccination status, and then the Harden saga of being traded, and now you have Ben Simmons not even playing this year after saying he was coming back in the playoffs. And then Kyrie recently said that they haven't had time to gel and play together. Come on, man. Whose fault was that? Whose fucking fault was that? This guy is so unaware. Like, for someone who claims to be so deep, I've never seen someone so out of his mind. You think this guy's grounded, and he's the absolute opposite. You played yourself, Bill.
Nah, yeah, he's so fake smart. And as somebody who actually lined up across from Kyrie Irving, I get to speak with personal experience. He's a moron.
It's the pretty boys versus the petty boys.
There we go. First-hand experience.
He dropped 50 on me, by the way. Yeah, like an effortless 50. We were like the 32 seed, and he was the 1 seed. And my dad was like, D up on him, and so I do, and he runs right by me. So he's like, sag off him. So he shoots, and I'm just like, well, now I don't know what to do. It was like, he's demoralizingly good. Yeah, I was just trying not to end up, like, YouTube like was just popping off there. I was just trying not to end up on someone's mixtape. I was like, let me just stay out of this. I'm like, I see a screen, I'm running into it. I'm like, get this guy the fuck off me. Like,
yeah. You're like, switch. There's no screen, Thomas.
Yeah.
Switch.
Yeah, I'm screaming screen for him. I'm like, screen this guy. Come on, get him open, baby.
He's very good at basketball. Not a dependable teammate, put it that way.
Yeah.
I think I heard on one of the broadcasts, by the way, that in the entirety of his career, Kyrie has only surpassed 60 games 4 times. I think he's been in the league like 11 years or something like that.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
Let's move on. I did want to touch on this a little bit. You played yourself to Adam Schefter for his minimizing wording following Dwayne Haskins' untimely death. I'm not going to dignify it by reading it, but I did want to take this time to say rest in peace and long live Dwayne Haskins. From the clutch throw in Ann Arbor after JT Barrett had to go out with an injury, to the 2018 season setting the touchdown pass and passing yards records. Thanks for the Buckeye memories. I legitimately couldn't believe when he passed away. Yeah, long live Dwayne Haskins. That was such a fun year. I remember being at that Big Ten championship and seeing him light it up. Please rest in peace.
Schefter.
All right. I got a quick one before I do a non-sports one, because I've been trying to mix those in. You played yourself to college football and men's basketball, having these Monday night after 9 p.m. Eastern start times for national championships. I don't fucking get it. Like, you are not catering to your biggest TV audiences, which are people in the Midwest, by having these on Mondays. Just move them to the weekends and make, if you want to leave them at 9. If not, put them earlier. I mean, give me a break with these. Nobody on the West Coast is watching this shit anyway. Let's not pretend they are. And last but not least, you played yourself. I got to do this. It's going to create some enemies. I tweeted it out. It created some more enemies. I think you were one of them, Thomas.
Yeah, I love this place.
I got to give you played yourself to Target, the store. I'm just going to say it. It's overrated.
The petty is real. Might charge my ex for a feature.
And it's so overrated, I thought of 3 quick taglines for it. Target, we don't have exactly what you need, but we'll charge more for it. Target, you didn't get anything on your list, but somehow it added to over $100. Target, you got nothing you came here for, but got a bunch of stuff you don't even feel good about. That's fucking Target.
From the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Just say you're poor and move on. Like, just like Target ain't for you, fam. It just, you're not about that life. You're not. It's like great. I don't know what the hell's going on in fucking Ohio Targets, but like the shelves are bountiful where I am.
No, I went into one and like the grocery section looked like there was an apocalypse I didn't know about. Like the shelves.
Okay, I will admit the Target grocery section definitely looks like some North Korea shit where there's like 8 apples and they're like all at the front of the fucking grocery store. You like you turn into an aisle, you're like, oh, this is the cereal aisle. I see like 10 cereal boxes, and then the whole aisle has like 0 other cereal boxes. That's definitely some Kim Jong-un status shit. Like they put all the good stuff right up front, and then you walk in and you're like, wait a second, there's 9 apples in this fucking joint?
The entire place. Nobody's ever wanted an apple here, but here's all 9 of that. What we got. You number one podcast listeners, that was a nice little light you played yourself, but you're here for the NFL draft preview, and let's get to it. Who you got and what you feeling? So last episode, my cousin and I talked a little bit NFL free agency. We talked about our winners in free agency. I think you'll like this one. The Bengals is kind of what we both were going towards. They directly addressed their glaring need offensive line, and they did so good that they can pretty much do best player available, which I know is something you love in NFL drafts, Thomas.
No, I mean, absolutely right. Yehuda, all that, like,
yep.
110%.
And then we talked about the QB carousel, like moves we liked, we didn't like. We'll have to see how that ends up going. There's a lot to cover there. I won't bore you all with that. If you guys can go check out that episode, it's still real pertinent to right now. It's not dated yet. So the only thing that is my final 4 picks, which were absolutely incorrect. I mean, I guess I got Kansas over Miami. I mean, Villanova beat Arizona. I had Arizona over them. I mean, it was a disaster of picks. So let's just put it as I was direct. Kansas beat North Carolina in the title game, the Roy Williams Bowl, to capture another title, and they definitely seem like the best team. They were the last remaining 1 seed, and they looked pretty damn good.
I picked Kansas.
Did you?
I picked Kansas out of my whole bracket. Yeah, the rest of my bracket was pretty bad, but I think I ended up doing well just because I picked Kansas.
Yeah, if you were in a bracket pool, I think if you got the champion right, you were probably in good shape because everybody's were just in shambles.
I won the pool. Yeah, I won the pool. I just don't know how I did in like the spectrum of like, you know how ESPN says like the percentile or whatever? Yeah. I have no idea where I was there. I could probably check and report back, but I have no idea.
It's old news at this point, I guess. Anyway, that brings us to this week. We got a lot of NFL draft stuff to go over. So without further ado, Thomas, these are going to be a lot for you. Okay, first up, QB ranking. How do you rank the following and anyone else you want to add in that is not covered by this list? How do you rank Malik Willis, Pickett, Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder, and Sam Howell? And also, bonus, if there are any dark horse QB prospects, give them to.
Okay, in order, Howell, Ridder, Corral, Pickett, Willis. So like the exact opposite order you said them in. And you know, I've given you dark horses before.
Yeah.
And like one of my dark horses was years ago, Gardner Minshew. I don't know if you remember that in Slack. I'm gonna say Bailey Zapp.
Who?
I think Bailey Zapp legitimately might be like the best quarterback in this draft.
Really? What makes you say that?
Yeah, like it's just everything about him is like, I don't want to say safe, but you would have to really screw this guy up for him not to do well.
Okay. And
like someone would have his intangibles are good. His intangibles are near great. He does like little things that people don't like, you know, when they do taglines like weaknesses and strengths, they don't really like throw these in there. But like he leads his receivers up the field with his passes. He throws to a position where his guy can catch it. You know what I mean? It's like little things. And like sometimes he throws his guys open, breaking off of routes, and like that stuff is like, maybe he's just really in sync with these wideouts, but like I sit there and I chart how many of one wideout a guy's catching, so that way you can kind of be like, all right, this guy's really leaning on this motherfucker here, so like maybe the wide receiver's doing the work. But Bailey Zapp was out there like he was putting his guys in better spots than they were giving him. There were some really tight coverages with like very little separation, and Zapp was still like, if it was 3rd and 8, he would throw it at the spot 9 yards down the field, low and away to not get a turnover. Wow. And I was just, it's like little things like that. Like, why risk? Why even try to send them upfield there? You need the first down. So, like, he makes really, really smart decisions with his ball placement.
Those of you wondering, that's Western Kentucky's own Bailey Zappe. That's Zapbe.
No one's heard of this motherfucker.
Yeah, is he'll probably be a day 3 pick, I'm guessing?
Yeah,
Projection?
yeah, absolutely. 100%.
All right. Okay, bonus one. Over-under for QBs taken in round 1. It's set at 2.5. What are you going?
Oh, over.
Over.
Yeah, I think at 32, a team trades up to take Howell.
That seems to be the trend, like in a lot of mock drafts, is the trade up.
The Lions don't,
or even the Lions
there.
Yeah,
yeah. I just don't think the Lions are desperate for any of the guys at 32. They pick at 2, so it's like if they trade up down to like 40 in the next round and pick up a third or something in the way, like that's great for them. But yeah, I'd say under. In the first 31 picks, I'd take the under.
That 32 is going to get the over. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I buy that. All right. Same thing. Want your rankings for wide receiver, because that's definitely the trendy group here. It seems like a deep wide receiver draft. How do you rank Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Dotson from Penn State, Jameson Williams, and let's add in Burks from Arkansas?
Okay, if those are my guys, I'm going to go London, Wilson, Olave, Burks, Williams, Dotson.
All right.
You know who the best wideout in this draft is, though?
Who?
George Pickens. He's the best wideout in this draft.
Why do you say that?
Honestly, looks more like Randy Moss than anyone since Randy Moss. Guy is like unfathomable.
He definitely jumped off the screen in the national title, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, he's just one of those guys that like he learns the guy he's going against and beats him. That's the kind of shit that like Jerry Rice did. You know, like T.O. did that stuff. Like, I mean, obviously Randy's just like a physical freak, but like, you know, DeAndre Hopkins does the same stuff. He basically sets his corner, the guy he's playing. If he knows he's not the first look, he'll set him up. He'll do some little shit just to trick his corner, and Pickens does that. And that's like elite for a 21-year-old to be doing that.
All right. Okay. Over under 5.5 wide receivers taken in round 1.
Over.
Over.
Yeah, I'll say 6 go exactly.
I think it's going to be it's especially fun as a Buckeye fan. You had like 3 receivers that at least at once played at the same time at Ohio State. It's kind of wild.
I think the Eagles picks, if they really want to, if both guys are there, they should take both Ohio State guys.
Oh, that would make me sick. That would make me
I just think that'd be. I mean, then they never have to worry about wideout again. They have 3 young, great guys.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have a trio, Devontae Smith and those 2 guys. I mean,
yeah.
I've already kind of accepted at least one of them's going to Philly. It just seems like it's going to happen, but we'll see. I think this could be a draft, and correct me if I'm wrong. Like, if a couple start going off the board, people are going to start moving to try to get some of these other ones.
Yeah,
but okay. Offensive tackle seems like a trendy. There's a lot of kind of mystery and a lot of guys at the top of the list. So I want to get your rankings on Neal, Ekonwu, Cross, and Penning are the 4 names I have on here. And if you want to add in anyone else, but those are the 4 I seem to find the most about.
You know, the first 3 are good. I like Cross, Neal, and Ekonwu in that order. Penning is garbage. He's so bad. Yeah, people are like, they think it's like so funny and cool that he like mugs people in like the Senior Bowl and shit, but like when you really think about it, he's getting beat and then cheating. Like that's all that's happening. Like he's getting some guy. Aaron Donald would literally send this guy into like a fit of rage. Like this guy is so mentally small and he's getting destroyed. He has, you know who said it best? Matt Bram, one of our colleagues, was like, if he gets his penalties and like his technique under control, he's a problem for 31 teams in the league. And if he doesn't, he's a problem for all 32. Like, this guy could set his own team so far back, it's not even funny.
A lot of bust potential there, is what you're saying.
Huge bust. But if I had to bet on one guy not making it to a second contract in the league, I'd say this is the guy. There's no way this guy re-signs with the team that drafts him.
All right, we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Okay, one last position group ranking. Defensive end, I got the following names for you to rank. Hutchinson, Thibodeau, Walker, Johnson II, and Karlaftis.
All right, you ready? I'm going to go Hutchinson, Johnson II.
All right.
Thibodeau, Walker, Karlaftis.
All right.
And that's how good I think they'll be as rookies. Like, potential-wise, I think, obviously Walker's, like, the biggest potential out of anyone in the draft. Mm-hmm. He's unbelievable as a pass rushing prospect. He could literally flip around and learn to play wide out. The guy is so athletic. But that's how good I think they'll be.
Dig it. So we're talking about he's fourth on your defensive end list, but might go number one overall.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What position groups have a clear lock for top prospect? And a few of the candidates I have, just to get you number one podcast listeners thinking, few candidates I have: Hutchinson, defense end. We talked about him a little earlier. Sauce Gardner at corner. I put the linebacker out of Utah, Lloyd, and Kyle Hamilton, the safety from Notre Dame. Am I good with those, or do you disagree with them? Are there any other position groups to add that have locks for best prospect in that position group?
Locks, I don't think Hutchinson's a lock. Okay. I don't think Gardner's a lock. I don't think Lloyd's a lock.
Okay.
Hamilton, I think, is a lock. And Matt Araiza, the punter, I think is a lock. Right. And that's
it.
Those are the only two guys that are like, if you take somebody else ahead of them, it's like very, very hard to justify.
Right.
There's little things like Stingley over Gardner is like, do I think it's right? No. Right. But like, as far as a lock, like Lawrence last year, you might recall I didn't love Trevor Lawrence. But the Jaguars should have been folded if they didn't take him. He was like, as a prospect, there was nothing anyone offered that Trevor Lawrence did not. Right. So it's the same thing with Hamilton and Araiza as locks. There's like, these guys are just so much better than everyone else at their position that if you took one over them, you should lose your job.
All right. Good one. I thought Gardner would be for sure, but that's a good point. You do see some Stingley love.
I think Stingley offers some things that Gardner doesn't. And not only was he Gardner wasn't playing in the fucking SEC. Stingley did have probably the best cornerback season of any corner in college football history. There are things that you could make the argument for. There's no argument for Lewis Sign of Georgia over Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, because that is the next safety, and he's might not even be in the first round.
Yeah.
Okay. What, in your estimation, is the deepest position group?
For playable guys, I'd probably say pass rusher.
Okay.
That's pretty good. I mean, wide receiver too, but that's just because there's so many. That's the nature of football. There's only, there could very realistically be 5 pass rushers on the field. 5 wideouts on the field. So a lot of them naturally shine more, but there's really only 2 pass rushers.
Yep. And the elite ones stick out for sure. A lot more than you can be a serviceable receiver for a long time. Shit, there's so many of those guys.
Yeah.
All right, weakest position group.
Linebacker.
Okay. How far is QB in that list?
QB's probably third.
Okay.
Honestly. I think defensive tackles up there too. Jordan Davis, I would legitimately take top 3. But there's just not a whole lot of other guys. I would take Devontae Wyatt, who played next to Jordan Davis, is probably the second best defensive tackle.
It's crazy to think about.
That Georgia team was insane. Go Dogs, obviously, but
whatever.
Yeah, watching them play, I was just you could almost feel it. I was are we gonna win? Are we actually there's no way we lose, right? This is insane. But being a Bulldogs fan is simulating a game in Madden. You can have all 99s and the universe just fucking hates you and you lose.
You got one. You can reset the clocks for another however many years, 40 years.
I cried. Yeah, I cried. I was on the couch crying. I just need one. One, and I'll root for someone else, for real. Like, I care less about my strongest fandom is probably the Dodgers, and I care significantly less about the Dodgers now that I saw them win one. Like, I could go ahead and happily pick a new favorite team until I see them win one. I only want to see them win one and follow through. That's all I care. It's like a victory feeling.
All right. I don't agree with you there, but I respect it.
Which is fair. I just sports is supposed to be fun for me, and I'm not going to stick around for if my team is a rapist quarterback or any of that shit.
Right.
You'll never catch me. Yeah, you'll just never
that
catch
does make
me
sense.
being
Genuinely makes you definitely healthier. It's I think I saw some post that was some men pick their favorite team at age 11 and let their team cause them pain for the rest of their life, and I was never related to anything more.
Do that? I stick with them until they win a championship, and I love the Dodgers. I'm always going to root for the Dodgers, but realistically, I know, I'd rather the fucking Blue Jays win a championship this year. I don't know if that makes me a Blue Jays fan, but I just think it would be cooler.
They have a lot. They have a lot of former Stros on their team, so see what you did there.
Fuck the Stros.
See what you did there. Okay, back to the draft. Who is the best offensive prospect in your rankings?
In my rankings, I'll go to my big board right now. Let's see. Who do I have number one? Oh, this is interesting, actually. I wouldn't have thought this without referring to old me. The number one guy I have as an impact maker is Drake London.
So I want to ask you, why do you like him more than you had Garrett Wilson too, I think, from when I asked you a little bit earlier?
Yeah.
How far is that separation and why?
Not very far. Drake London just offers a more unique skill set. A big part of the way I scout, and especially the way I assign my big board, is offensive tackles are innately more valuable.
Okay.
And offensive linemen are innately more valuable. But I don't weigh it that way when I do my draft board. I literally do this is the guy that's going to mean more to his team just because of the nature of being the number one wideout is probably more important than being the best left tackle on a bad team.
Yep.
Joe Thomas had an objectively shitty career in the NFL. He just wasted away in Cleveland as an all-pro tackle. He was blocking for nobody, and there was nothing going on around him. He's the poster child for why we can't weigh positions over impact. I think Drake London will have a bigger impact because if he goes to a team like the Jets, you pair him with Zach Wilson, and now you're talking about a team locking in two franchise cornerstones. Yeah. And if he goes to a team like Atlanta, he's literally the only guy that it's gonna be him and Kyle Pitts as a killer tandem. He's gonna be the only wideout out there. So I think Drake London is probably the guy I would say has the biggest impact on whatever team drafts him. I will never predict someone's whole career. You just can't do that. I can't be oh, he's going to the Hall of Fame.
But you don't know how lucky they're going to be with injuries and stuff like that either.
Yeah, or where they sign and stuff like that. But I can update these afterwards. We could do a post-draft episode and I'll be I like this and all that jazz. But I think Drake London is poised to be the most impactful player for his rookie contract.
Okay. I dig that. I'll be interested to see because, he was hurt pretty much all of last season. So the last bit of tape, it's from the season before that. He obviously made an impact at USC, but be interested to see. It definitely seems like the Jets are a prime candidate for a receiver, unless I won't tip that. We have a question from one of our number one podcast listeners that kind of relates to that.
Okay.
So I'll wait on that one. Okay. Hopefully you left your board up. The best defensive prospect you have?
Jordan Davis, defensive tackle from Georgia.
The big boy.
Yeah.
And is that a product of him or the lack of depth at defensive tackle?
I just think overall it's like Bailey Zapp, who someone is going to fuck up. Someone's going to draft Bailey Zapp and sit him behind fucking Drew Lock or some shit, and he's never going to play, and it's going to be a nightmare. But Jordan Davis he's going to play day one, and he's going to be he's going to be a freak. He's going to be a stalwart defensive lineman for 5 years. Easily. He's just so big and in shape that someone would have to this guy would have to literally assault somebody in like a Vegas hotel for him to fuck up his career.
Yeah.
Like there's no way he on the field doesn't trend. Yeah, I mean the Saints are probably looking for him right now.
Yeah.
Probably trying to track him down and get him on there.
That would be interesting to see, especially now that we know that that's a weak position group. He's definitely the headliner from defensive tackles, but kind of falls under the radar because I think everybody just grouping defensive linemen with the big pass rush group that tackle is going to be. All right. Now, I tasked the number one podcast listeners to think up questions so that I could ask you and pick your brain, Thomas. So without further ado, I have some questions directly from you number one podcast listeners. As always, thank you for submitting these. Appreciate you guys being collaborative with us because that's what makes it the best. So, first up, first QB taken. I know you gave us your rankings, but who will be the first QB that actually is drafted? And a bonus, I want to get your take on who is going to select that QB.
Malik Willis to the Saints at 16.
Okay. All right.
That's my bet. I actually think they traded up thinking that one of them would fall there.
Oh, the one with the Eagle. They're traded with the Eagles.
Yeah, they traded with the Eagles, and I think they did it thinking one of the 4 quarterbacks we might like will be there.
Yeah.
At 16, and this way they don't even have to care about who. And worst case scenario, if there is a run on quarterbacks, now they have the ammo to go and get a guy. Yep. They're fucked because their cap is really bad and they can't pay Jameis to stay. If he has a good year, they can't afford him. And if he has a bad year, they need to replace him anyway. Like either way, he's like set up to lose.
I feel like that one's being overlooked, but it makes a lot of sense. Okay. For your mock draft, top 5 picks.
Yeah.
Who it should be versus who it will be. So give me like your 5, how you think the order should go versus how the 5, what you think is going to happen on Thursday.
Okay, yeah, sure. I would do the Jags should take Jordan Davis. They will take Trayvon Walker. The Lions should take Aiden Hutchinson. And they will take Aiden Hutchinson. The Texans should take Sauce Gardner, but they will take Kayvon Thibodeau. The Jets should take Kyle Hamilton, but I think they take Sauce Gardner. And here's a really hot take. The Giants should take Drake London, but they will take Kyle Hamilton.
All right, so you had Davis should take one, and for the Jags, Walker's who they will take. Hutchinson for both to the Lions at 2. Number 3 is the Texans.
They should take Sauce, but they will take Thibodeau. And the Jets should take Hamilton, but they'll take Sauce. And the Giants should take Drake London. I honestly think taking Drake London for the Giants solves so many of their problems just because they can be like, not only do we find out if it's Daniel Jones or not, but if we have to go and get a guy, we're stacked at wideout and he can walk in and be good.
I dig it.
You really want to maximize those rookie quarterback contracts. That's like the secret to winning. It's the secret sauce.
I'm starting to think it's one of the only ways, but I had someone ask dark horse prospects for day 3. You already gave us one without even knowing this question, Bailey Zapp. You got any other day 3 prospects?
Yeah, I do, because I'm fucking insane. Troy Anderson, a linebacker from Montana State. Insanely productive linebacker. Flies around the field, does everything. He's great. Can't complain. He's one of those guys where you're just like, God damn, how is this guy playing at D3? Who was Van Der Esch? Yeah. He was playing 8-on-8 football in high school. Yeah. And you're just like, how the fuck is this guy, how's he hauling hay right now? He's better than the guys in Auburn. But I think that's a good one. Zion McCollum, he's a cornerback from Sam Houston State. He's a physical freak. I think he's 6'2", 200. He ran a 4.3. Just a stud. Absolute physical freak guy. Same thing with Joshua Williams, who went to Fayetteville State. I actually, rattling these off, I didn't read this far into the prep for the script, so I'm just like racking my brain. He's a 6'3", 200-pound guy. He's another corner I think is just absolutely worth taking. And
tall corners.
I know, right? But they all play in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
And give me like DeJean Dixon. He's a wideout. He's a wideout at Nicholls State. I don't remember how tall he is, but he played really, 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 really well. And the quarterbacks there are fucking garbage. And hot take is Pierre Strong is the running back from South Dakota State, who we were talking about before we started recording, is phenomenal. Like, the guy is every bit of like Austin Eckler that you could possibly have.
All right. Is running back one of those positions? I assume it's not a clear cut, but I feel like Breece Hall's who I keep seeing at the top of that list.
I wouldn't take Breece Hall first. I would probably take Kenneth Walker first, but I don't know. I honestly, running back value is so all over the chart. Like, you got teams taking Saquon and Zeke and all this, and a couple years later, it's like no one is even worth drafting. Yep. So I have no idea. I have to wait and see how that goes.
Okay, this is the question I didn't want to tip earlier, but it obviously has to do with kind of that top 10 in this deep wide receiver group, especially the Jets, because they're rumored to be kind of linked to one of these guys. But will Baker Mayfield, Deebo Samuel, and or Kadarius Toney get traded on draft day?
Yeah, Deebo will.
You think Deebo gets dealt?
Yep. I do think Deebo gets dealt. And I think it's something like Deebo and where'd they pick? They pick in the second, right? The 49ers?
Yeah. Because they gave up that draft capital for Trey Lance last year.
Oh, true. Yeah, I think it's something like Deebo and 62 for 10.
All right. Yeah, that's what it's linked to with the Jets, is that number 10 pick. So essentially the Jets, instead of drafting a receiver, get this all-utility Deebo Samuel.
I would assume it's Deebo Samuel and 62 or 61. Where do they pick? 61, I think, for 10 straight up.
All right. This is more,
and the Jets should do it.
I mean, I agree. Why even risk the potential for someone not working out versus a proven commodity who's still very young? It's not like you're trading for a seasoned vet here with Deebo. I mean,
yeah,
he's uniquely responsible for that team's success, I feel like, if there was one player.
Yeah. And the head coach in New York knows him from being the defensive coordinator in San Francisco.
Yeah, Robert Saleh's there. That makes too much sense. Do you see that video, Deebo at the club, and some guys were ordering bottle service? The sign comes out and like they're trying to break news that Debo's staying, and it cuts over to Deebo and he does like the little throat slash, like nah, that ain't happening. I respect to the fans for trying it, to be honest with you. I respect the hell out of that. That was an expensive sign.
Yeah, zero disdain there.
Yeah. Okay. This seemed like a more of a rhetorical, but I want to make it into a legitimate question. What's up with the Browns? I want to turn that into, what do you think they do in this draft after their Deshaun Watson stuff? Do you think this team, just from a football perspective, needs a lot? What do they need to address other than their own morals?
Petty is real. Might charge my ex for a feature.
From a football perspective, I think they're in a pretty good, comfortable situation. From a football perspective, Watson is going to get suspended. We don't know for how long or anything like that, so who knows. I have a friend who works in the scouting department for the Eagles who was telling me, he's like, Watson is pretty much all set to go to Atlanta. It's going to be Atlanta, all this other jazz. He's like, Atlanta's already telling Matt Ryan, like, hey, we're doing all this. And then the Browns flirted with him, pissed off Baker. And then Baker was like, all right, I'm not playing for the Browns. And that threw the Browns into like crazy haywire desperation mode, thus the fully guaranteed contract with no offset language. Like Deshaun Watson could go walk to middle field, walk to the set like 50-yard line, shoot somebody in the face, walk away, and the Browns owe him like $200 million. Like the guy, I understand from a football perspective why they had to do it. They were just in a situation of They fucked up so bad. You ever as a kid, I did this. I remember like a specific time I did this in school. You ever tell a lie and then someone catches it, so you have to tell like another lie to like try and get yourself out of it. Yeah. And then you're like, you got too many fucking... My dad, in New Jersey, there's these like sound barriers on the parkway.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like these wavy things. So the people on the house, like on the other side, they have houses, so they don't hear it as much.
Right.
My dad told me I went to the Great Wall of China. I was 6 years old. My dad told me I went to the Great Wall of China. I told my class. A kid, Travis Bergeron, called me a liar. I was like, no, my fucking dad told me I went to the goddamn Great Wall of China. I go home and I tell my dad, I'm like, Dad, he doesn't believe we went to the Great Wall of China. He starts laughing. He's like, we were like 20 minutes away from home, dude. Like, that was just the parkway. So I go into school the next day and I'm like, let me tell you guys about my plane ride to China. So I was like, no way am I letting Travis Bergeron get away with this shit. So then I told all that, and then my teacher was like, very active imagination. And I don't know why, like 6-year-old me did this, but I remember like slamming my fist on the table. I was like, call my dad right now. I was like, call this motherfucker. He'll tell you we went to China. And my dad answers his phone. He's like, fuck no, we didn't go to China. And I'm like, oh man, like, oh shit, I really tripled down. And that was the Browns. They basically had to triple down, and they fucked everything. And now Travis Bergeron thinks I'm like a psychopath, and I am, but for way different reasons. But that's basically what the Browns did. They put themselves into a corner, and they were like, oh, fuck, we have no other options.
Yep. Sounds about right. This one's definitely rhetorical, and we know the source of this one. Shout out my family. Will the Texans be drafting an owner?
No, they will not, but they should.
They should, yes.
I mean, that's just a church at this point. Like, the Texans are just a cult.
Joe Osteen has nothing on them.
Yeah, you ever see Righteous Gemstones?
I haven't. Actually, I think the same family member that asked this question was telling me about that show. Funny enough.
It's a very, very good show, and it's basically what the Houston Texans are right now.
Well, anyway, they need one for sure. They do actually, after years of not having first-round picks, they finally have one again. So kudos to them. They actually get to watch this draft. Okay, who is a high-ceiling prospect that will surprise, other than those names you gave day 3? Who's someone not enough people are talking about that you think will surprise?
A high ceiling, like a day 3 one? Or
it doesn't have to be. Anybody? It could be 1, 2, or 3. Just someone high ceiling that not enough people are talking about, or maybe is a little rough around the edges. Just straight talent right now, but not.
I'm going to say George Pickens. George Pickens. George Pickens. High ceiling, I think he has a legitimate outside chance to be the best player from the draft. Also, sneaky Justin Ross.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on with his fucking, like, he has like his neck fused or whatever. But, yeah, he's sneaky on there too.
Okay. Which prospect is overrated?
Trevor Penning.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, that he's a bum. Like, he's a loser. I would fight Trevor Penning any day of the week. Like, he's a bum.
He's must be related to Ronda Rousey. Okay, so any parting NFL draft things? Anything that you think's maybe a hot take of what's going to happen? Anything dramatic that's going to happen, at least in round 1, maybe round 2?
I'll give you some hot takes. My hot take is Sam Howell could go at 6 to Carolina.
Okay, like that one.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much. I worked so hard on it. I have another hot take. I think the Titans could take a quarterback.
Wow. I feel like a lot of fans would dig that. They're definitely cold on Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, Tannehill's in there. And my hottest hot take is I think there's an outside, very small chance that the Seahawks package both their first and second round pick to jump Carolina for a quarterback, but they have no reason to. I think they might try to jump the line to get Malik Willis and completely fumble the bag.
That would be ridiculous, especially given what we know about this QB class.
Yeah, and the Seahawks, but I think there's a chance they completely don't want to look bad about the Russell Wilson thing.
Okay, I have a bonus one. Who do my alleged favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys, take at number 24? What should I be rooting for? What is my ideal situation to happen, and what do you think actually happens? Let's put it that way.
Ideally, one of the pass rushers.
Okay.
Any of the guys, even Karlaftis could be good there. Ebiketie from Penn State's good there. I mean, honestly, I would maybe take a corner because I just don't think Diggs is it in terms of like covering something. But I think Trevor Penning's on the menu. Yeah, I do think Trevor Penning's on the menu there. I could see you guys going for Devonta Wyatt or one of the defensive guys that fall that isn't like a pass rusher. But yeah, that is it. Daniel Faili, I don't know how you say his name. The huge guy from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also on that list of like, I think he might be on the menu.
What are your thoughts on him? I mean, I know he's like physically ridiculously huge, but
I think that's all you need him to be.
Yeah.
I think in this day and age, I think you could stick him at right tackle.
Yeah.
And immediately have a guy that you could just hammer behind. And if he sucks, you stick him at guard and you just absolutely punish people.
Yeah.
You know, like he's one of those guys where like just being 6'9" and able to not fall when you sprint is like a birthright. It's like an unbelievable gift.
Yeah, eventually you're going to run into someone who can't get past that no matter what.
Yeah, it's like what's Sauce Gardner going to do, who weighs 200 pounds less than this guy who's like half a foot taller than him.
You already know my absolute dream is Olave somehow falls to 24. But I don't think that's going to happen.
I think wideout's off the menu.
Yeah, I think so too. The only thing that's like kind of a savior is if someone like Olave did fall that far, because they did host him. He was one of their first players they hosted in the draft meetings, which doesn't necessarily mean anything, but you do have a limited amount of interviews. That's kind of how they wound up with Lamb, is they are notorious for going best player available, which has worked out great for them in a lot of times. So
yeah.
I would, me and my homer abilities, that would be the ideal scenario. I don't think it's going to happen. Our guy Tom got me fired up about Jermaine Johnson, and the Cowboys really love him and could potentially maybe trade up for him. So
I think he'd so be the pick if they got the choice to take him. I think there 10 seconds wouldn't come off the clock.
Yeah.
You put him next to Parsons, and you got to remember, you heard it here first. I was the guy. I was like, Parsons is a better pass rusher than he is a linebacker.
Yep.
I was hammering it all year, and what did he do? He came out and he proved he's fucking elite. Yep. This guy can do anything. I think Parsons. Hand to God, Parsons is the second best defensive player in the league right now.
Wow.
This second. Total shitty person. Guy's an asshole. Scum of the earth. We should not enable these people to become millionaires. But like, I'm just glad, like, if football didn't exist, this guy would just be like in society. Like, thank God football exists, and like we never have to associate with these people. You really think I want like fucking Tyreek Hill at Chick-fil-A? Like, absolutely not. Like, that'd be so much. Thank God he's in a high profile situation where we fucking keep tabs on him.
That is a very good point. In a lot of these instances, like, they'd be just, a lot of these people would be in shambles. At least their job is checking them. But yeah, I mean, it gets me fired up thinking about how that happened last year. I honestly was bummed because last year the Cowboys I never saw a single mock where they didn't get one of the two corners that were at the top of the board last year. And they somehow wound up with neither, but then traded back and wound up with Parsons. And, the rest is history, defensive rookie of the year. So it all worked out. Hopefully something similar happens at 24. I mean, the last time the Cowboys picked at 24 ended up pretty good for them. A little wide receiver named Dez Bryant. So fingers crossed for someone that productive again.
And he caught it, by the way.
He did catch it. Thank you very much. Thanks for that lead in.
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
even
a catch.
tell you
I'm
to
sorry.
say that. Yeah, thank you. Shout out Grant. Okay.
No. Who was the guy? It was like Calvin Johnson in the Bears game, too.
Yeah.
Where he like caught it, but they were like, oh, he didn't follow through. It was
Yeah, he literally put the ball down after getting up. Like,
yeah.
Okay. That wraps up all the questions I have for you. Thank you for indulging me with that Cowboys bonus question. I am going to maybe laugh into kind of a cry if Penning ends up being drafted by them, especially after hearing all this, your disdain for him. So,
yeah.
of course it's going to happen.
I'm sorry. I ripped Penning for like 20 minutes and then was like, Cowboys might take him.
Great. I mean, I asked the question, so I was asking for it. Anyway, lately, let's move on to what are you feeling? What do you got for me? What you been feeling lately, Thomas?
Ooh, so baseball's back. It feels great. We were close to a lockout year, so that just being back is like a breath of fresh air. And I'm like watching every single like fake entrepreneur doc that's out there right now, like the Theranos one, the WeWork one, Inventing Anna, like the Tinder swindler. Like, it blows my mind that people like pull these scams over someone's head. Like, how is there not one cynical? Well, I'm the most cynical motherfucker on the planet. How is there not one cynical person around these people being like, this isn't true? Like, where's their Travis Bergeron being like, you didn't go to the fucking Great Wall of China, like, you piece of shit? Like,
the trouble is,
like, how are these
there's
people?
a million Thomases saying, yes, I did, tripling down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, how is there not one person stopping this? Like, if I was dating some girl and she texted me, was like, I need $50,000, my enemies are after me, I'd be like, all right, peace. Like, good luck. I don't want enemies.
You'd be
I
like,
want no
yeah,
part of you.
I'm one of them now.
Yeah, you think I want enemies? Like, in the world, like, enemies? You know how insane that
I'm not built
terminology
for that.
is?
I'm from the suburbs.
Yeah. Imagine walking outside and you're like, damn, I hope my enemies aren't here right now. Like, that's insane behavior. Like, I don't function that way. You're at a Target, you're like, oh, my enemies must have taken all the food, so I couldn't have any. Like, who has enemies? Like, I've never heard this before. That's not a real thing. No one has ever been like, oh, that's my enemy. Like, oh, you know that guy at work, he's my enemy. Like, that's not a real phrase. That's like what the Turtles call the other guy with the knives in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're like, oh, that's Shredder. He's our fucking enemy. Like, this is insane. So, yeah, I watch a lot of scam artist shit. It's hilarious. Like, I never feel bad for the victims. They all deserve it.
Yeah. I did watch that Inventing Anna one. It was wild. How good she was at convincing people.
They all deserved it.
Yeah.
Everyone deserved to get scammed. Like, she was so clearly making shit up out of her ass. Like, that one girl that paid for the whole trip. It's like, yo, you threw your fucking card down. I would be like, I ain't leaving. We're going to jail. No way.
As for what I'm feeling, kind of the same vein. Two of my current favorite shows that are on just came back for new seasons. Better Call Saul, and they're in the final season. And Mayans MC, which is the spinoff series from Sons of Anarchy, has gotten really good in the last couple years. And the premiere episode was pretty crazy. So I'm happy those are back. And then also feeling Pusha T's new album, It's Almost Dry. It is absolutely fantastic and easy listen if you're a hip-hop fan. I think it's like only 35 minutes for the entire album, and it's absolutely fire. So that, and I'm feeling, my son is officially past 3 months old. It's kind of wild. Time's flying by.
Wow.
Thomas, you didn't add anything about your new puppy?
No, this guy's a fucking monster. He's like the
so
worst.
Cute.
He is super cute, and when he's
so
sweet,
cute.
he's sweet. And, like, I can't blame him for, like, pissing everywhere. But, like, the other day, I, tortured my dog by not giving him water. I was like, no. And he still pissed like 9 times. And I'm like, where? Like, that's got to be blood, bro. I'm not putting anything else in you. Like, I'm trying to, like, schedule his water, and I just gave up. So now he's just... So I gave him, like, the water back, because I'm like, whatever. I can't not give my dog water for, like, 6 hours. So I give him water, and he drinks it, and he just starts pissing everywhere. I'm like, this is insane. I got this dog 2 weeks ago. I'm 300 pee pads deep into this dog already. Like, that's an astronaut. That's like That's like 15 pees a day.
That's a lot.
Like, that's not normal behavior.
His bladder's working overtime. Very cute, though. Easy on the eyes, that puppy.
I'll happily trade him for your son. 0 issues.
Yeah, he's been pretty good. He pees a lot, but he's got a diaper on.
How many times does he pee a day?
It's probably like, I don't know, anywhere from like 8 to 10 times.
Listen to your son.
Change
So
diapers.
I'm going to put a diaper on this dog. I wouldn't even give a shit, dude, if he just like peed himself. Like, I wouldn't care. I'll just change him. But like, and he hides. He'll like hide under the couch and go pee. And I'm like, this is absurd behavior. Like, just pee in the open.
At least have some respect, Huey. Look me in the eye when you
His fucking. Yeah, my dog's like, oh, my enemies are after me. I gotta go fucking piss under the couch. It's like, where are you from? Like, where is this happening?
Your dog's from out of state. He might have seen some things, you know?
Yeah, he's from Hick, Virginia, so I have no idea.
He's seen some things. All right, you number one podcast listeners. On that note, let's wrap up this episode with Too Much Sense. Let's hit that intro. Okay, this edition of Prem Brulee's Too Much Sense has to do with prioritizing the people that check on you when they have nothing to gain from doing so. So that doesn't mean you need to cut out those that don't. This is simply one of those Too Much Sense valuing those that do. Not everyone's built to be checking on others, but the people that do deserve some love. As a new father, I'm constantly thinking and rethinking my philosophy on relationships and thinking about my history. The old me would take those that don't check in as a slight and use it to stop caring about them or over dramatize it and make it messy. Sometimes it's as simple as knowing that it's not some people's strength to check in, and that's okay. But it does make those people who do check in more worthy of your reciprocating energy. So, in other words, don't worry about the people who don't show up at the party. Focus on all the people who are in attendance. And that's my Too Much Sense.
I'd say we check in with each other, right?
You and I do, for sure. Yeah, we're pretty regularly, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, and I'm not a texter. Like, you even texted me today, and you're like, "Yo, I know you're not. I know you're not a texter." And I'm just like, I have no idea why I like exist. Yeah, I'm just not. Like, if someone, I'll just be like, yeah, no, I'll just talk to them late when I talk to them. Right. It's like I so rarely love people that like I never worry. Like, I never worry for mine and your friendship, or like mine and Zach's. Right. Like, I'm never like, oh, they're going to be mad at me if I don't talk to them. No, you're a fucking adult 100%. And you know I care. And it's like, if I don't hear from you or you don't hear from me, we're just busy. Like, it's not.
See, I wasn't.
We're
I would say
up
like,
piss.
I've made a lot of progress in that. I would always think like, oh, what did I do wrong? And then it's like, it's not that. It's the old Occam's razor. It's like, it's just the simplest explanation is probably the right one. It's just that, okay, they're not checking in. It doesn't mean anything. It's just you'll talk when you talk, and it's all good. It's all love. It doesn't matter. So
yeah,
that's the.
You're right. It's literally it's the most simple solution.
Yeah,
like 100%.
Yep, it's my little reminder, because just in case there are people out there that try to take things personally, it's not that deep. Basically, just focus on the people that do and show love back to them, and when it's right, those people that aren't as good, and when they check in, you show love back to them. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
All right. That is going to do it for our special NFL Draft Preview edition of the number one podcast in your headphones, Prem Brulee. I've been your host, Premal. I want to thank you, Thomas, for all of your draft expertise, your scouting expertise. If you haven't already, go follow the man at Sleepattle, Thomas Lewis. He's the man. He's my go-to for scouting. I'm going to be keeping an eye on where penning goes. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course. I came in sick. This is my flu game. This is my flu game.
This is a hell of a flu game, because I tell you, I just kind of remembered that you told me that just now, and I was like, oh, that's right. He's sick, and we're over here babbling.
Yeah, I'm like,
you're trying to stop
dying.
talking.
I'm dying. I'm taking COVID test after COVID test. I'm like terrified. I'm like, and Al just messaged me and he was like, everyone I know is sick. I was sick last week and didn't mention it. I'm like, bro, you fucking got everyone sick. That means you idiot. Like, what aren't you getting? You were sick and didn't mention it, and now everyone you hung out with is sick. What do you think fucking
funny
happened?
How that works.
Like, yeah, like it's not a coincidence.
I feel like I know Al, but I don't know Al. But anyway,
it's
everybody's got an Al, I guess, in their life. You know, Al is all of us a little bit. Anyway, You number one podcast listeners, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, leave a review, share this episode. As always, appreciate you. And we will talk to you on the next edition. Thanks, Thomas.
Yeah.